Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Kop Council. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. If you are, then please let me know in the comment section down below. This is the Kop Council Podcast, and we did promise you guys some very special guests. And as you can see, we are joined by Craig from the Anfield Agenda. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm very good, thank you, Connor. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you, and thank you for coming on the podcast.
It's my pleasure, anytime.
So, guys, in this video, we're going to be talking about some injury news, bringing you some little bit of updates. We're going to get Craig's opinion on Liverpool's season so far, and we're going to be talking about our main point. How will the night kit deal affect Liverpool, the club, and the city? So, yeah, if you do like the video, guys, please like, share, and subscribe. We are on the road to 100 subscribers right now, and welcome all to the new subscribers that subscribed over the last few days. You guys have been absolutely fantastic. So, Craig, a little bit of news in brief. Obviously, Mo and Robbo have both pulled out of their international breaks. Obviously, Robbo out with an ankle injury, but he is a bit 50-50 with the Liverpool game coming back against Crystal Palace. But Mo Salah yesterday was seen in a protective boot. There's rumours, guys, that he could be out anywhere between 4 weeks or so. There's still rumours that there's 2 to 4 weeks. If Mo was to be injured, Craig, how much do you think that'll affect Liverpool this season?
This is going to sound really strange, but if he's going to be injured, this is probably the right time for him to pick up an injury. I'd rather have him out now for the next... Well, we've got this 2-week international period, so let's say another 2 weeks after this. We've got a game against Crystal Palace, then we've got a game against Napoli coming up in the Champions League. I would rather it now than December. And I think, to be quite honest, I think he's been chasing fitness since the World Cup. I'm going back that far. I think he's never really gotten a break. His body hasn't had a chance to recover. And look, we aren't a one-man team. If anything, I'd be honest, I'd probably be more worried if it was Sadio that was out. But you never want one of your top players out. But Divock looks ready for me to come in. He looks like he's absolutely on fire this season. Every time he picks up the ball, I'm not sure if you've noticed, but the flicks, the tricks, the confidence, I'm just excited, mate. But yeah, it's obviously a travesty whenever anyone picks up a knock like that, but better to be safe with Mo and better to wrap him up in cotton wool for the long season ahead.
Yeah, I perfectly agree with you. It's one of these things, I think, where now with this Liverpool team can fall back on their substitutes a little bit. I think that, you perfectly said Divock Origi can definitely fill that space. And I kind of agree with you in the sense that I don't think Mo has had rest properly. Like you said, even as far as the World Cup, he has been on a non-stop journey since then. But for me, since probably the Leicester game when he started having that ankle issue after that appalling challenge, I can't remember which Leicester player it was.
It was Hamza.
Yeah.
Hamza Chowdhury.
Yeah. And that disgusting, well, it was a kind of disgusting challenge because, he didn't go for the ball at all and just went fully for Mo. And ever since then, Mo has been looking a bit groggy. He looked a bit groggy in the second half against Manchester City. And it's like, now if he can get rest, because it's like we were saying off camera, wasn't it, that we'd rather Mo be injured now with like an easy build up to games than a busy 4-week period in December.
Yeah, as we said, it's never ideal for someone to pick up an injury, and it's no secret that we probably haven't seen the best of Mohamed Salah yet, which is still kind of frightening when you see the amount of goals and assists that he is getting. But we have an able-bodied squad, as you said. Look, we've got Divock Origi there, we've got Ryan Brewster, we've got Harvey Elliott, we've got Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain that come in, you've got Lallana. You could shift it around as well. You could play Sadio through the centre and go to different formation. I mean, Klopp will have sat down and thought this out. He will have players there that he's working with. I think what we're probably going to see for the game against Crystal Palace is the likes of James Milner and those guys that were left behind, and will get some prolonged tactical training with Klopp ahead of the game. But unfortunately, it is what it is. We've been very lucky with injuries. I mean, I don't ever want to show any sympathy towards Manchester City, but my goodness, they've been decimated with injuries since the season started. So yeah, if this is the worst of it, mate, then, we'll just roll with the punches and take it on the chin for a couple of weeks.
Exactly, mate. So quickly, side walking away then from the injury news. You spoke about Manchester City. It is a few days now since Liverpool decimated Manchester City, I would like to say. What has been your thoughts with the game on last Sunday and the thoughts after the Manchester City game?
So I'll never forget, Connor. I was watching the game with Connor, the other guy that runs the channel with me, and I think it was like 3.5, 4 minutes gone. And I turned around to him and said, "Mate, we haven't gotten out of our half yet. Like they've penned us back in. They've started really quickly, and then first counter attack, obviously from. I'm sure we'll go on to talk about the potential penalty, but first counter attack straight from there, and then it falls to Fabinho, and there's a beautiful angle of that goal that Sky had from inside the goal, where you could just see how straight and through of a strike it was. I mean, clinical, I think, is the word to describe Liverpool that day. It was everything I'd hoped for. I was nervous going into the game. I was fully sure that Manchester City were going to dominate possession because that's what they do. And you just hope that when we get the chance to counter, we do it at speed and we do it clinically. And we were ruthless. It was beautiful to see.
Absolutely, mate. I think it's so nice to see Fabinho obviously getting that goal. And, what a season he's had so far. We signed him for £40 million. He didn't play until maybe this time last year where you had the busy spell. How much of an impact do you think Fabinho has had on this Liverpool team so far?
A huge impact, and as you said, there was some questions being asked. There was even some talk about him potentially going to Paris Saint-Germain, but it's not unusual for Jurgen Klopp not to start players when he brings in Robbo, Chamberlain, even players with Premier League experience. He likes to make sure that they're up to his fitness levels before they're ready to go, and he became a fan favourite very quickly, Fabinho. I mean, we nickname him jokingly on our channel the Brazilian Octopus because he's everywhere. But there is nothing not to like about the guy. He is quality. I mean, he's still learning the role, which is scary as well when you think. But another thing you get with him that Klopp likes is versatility. So we know he can play at right back. He could drop back and play at centre back if need be. But yeah, I've got to be honest. When we signed him, there was no rumours of it. None of us has heard a thing. If anything, the only link you'd ever seen really was to Manchester United. And then you see that he's on a plane with his good lady wife on the way over, and you just think, oh, I understand that signing now. That's absolutely perfect. It was one of those I never would have thought of, but as soon as I heard it, I just thought, oh, he's nailed the Klopp. Well in.
Yeah. I remember going back maybe 2 seasons where everyone was saying that we needed a number 6 because of Jordan Henderson playing in the role. And, some people were saying, well, that's not Henderson's role. Henderson is better going forward. And, we was looking for a number 6. And I remember on the day where we signed Fabinho, I think half an hour before it was announced, there was a wild rumour going around Fabinho's in Liverpool. And then we're all like, oh, it's just rubbish. None of us believe that. And then half an hour later, oh, the club have come out and we've announced Fabinho. So, signings like that just makes you smile in a sense where, it was in the works for a while, according to Klopp, over the last year or so. He said that, I think it was from January on of last year where Liverpool tried to sign him and that. And like you said, Manchester United were the only clubs really looking like they were going to sign Fabinho. But it just shows, in my opinion anyway, where Klopp and all are good with transfers. The transfer committee and everything like that. And, just like you said, Fabinho, he's not even grown then yet properly. He's still learning. And if he's a monster at the minute, then who knows what he can become. In my opinion, I think N'Golo Kante is probably the best DM in the world on his day. But at the minute, in my opinion, I think Fabinho is over him. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, N'Golo Kante is a special footballer. There's no doubt about it. I mean, since maybe Claude Makélélé, I've not seen somebody do that role as well. And with N'Golo Kante, he's just as good going forward. It's scary. He really is just a tremendous footballer. With Jorginho probably playing that more deep line role for Chelsea, I think, yeah, it's probably fair to say Fabinho. I think Kante's a better footballer. I can't lie. I think overall Kante's a better footballer. But I think for us in our system, anybody would love Kante, but I mean, I can't speak ill of Fabinho. He's just so good. I remember saying when Emre Can was leaving, it was around the same time, and you were talking there about Jordan Henderson in the 6, and we were all thinking neither are very natural in the six. Emre Can was a little bit hit and miss, and then we just see this name Fabinho come in, and it was perfect from day one. I loved actually the way his wife from day one wanted to ingratiate herself with the Liverpool fan base, and we're Reds, baby. I remember she said something along those lines, and right from the start they seemed to fit in. They wanted to be here. I love that she rumoured every nonsense article that was linking him with a move to PSG and stuff. Yeah, he's been class, and I very rarely speak highly of Chelsea players, but N'Golo Kante is just one of those people. He's a good human being and he's a tremendous footballer, but any team that had either of those would be very lucky. I mean, what I liked most about it was the amount of welcome to Manchester United videos for Fabinho that were pulled down off YouTube very quickly. And fair play to Mark Goldbridge on this, when he still to this day admits that he was the player he wanted over Fred, which just makes it all the sweeter, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, to be fair. So you mentioned we were going to talk about that build up to the first goal against Manchester City. And if you don't know, guys, and you are under a rock, then a lot of people were discussing the potential handball situation with Trent Alexander-Arnold. In my opinion, it does hit Trent's arm, but if you look at the slow-mo, it hits Bernardo Silva's hand first. So the minimum for me, it should have been a Liverpool free kick, but who cares? Liverpool scored a goal at the end of it. And like we said, the Fabinho crisp goal. But what my personal argument of it was, Sky Sports particularly, in my opinion, I don't know if it's the same with you, were very on it from the start, and they kept on saying, well, Trent's handballed it. They did not once say Bernardo Silva's touched the ball. Was that your view of it, that they were just constantly having a go at Liverpool? Or did you think that they were just stating the obvious then, you could say?
I've got to be completely honest. When we do watch-alongs of the game, we never have the commentary on because of copyright rules. So I'm usually watching the game in silence and talking through it myself. But there are two things, I suppose, about that handball. Firstly, you've got to take them as two isolated incidents, because with VAR, the Bernardo Silva part doesn't come into it whatsoever. Michael Oliver clearly seen the handball. So for it to be overturned by VAR was basically impossible, because Michael Oliver clearly waved it away and said no penalty. It wasn't a clear and obvious error. It was never going to be overturned. But the part that I think confused everybody, and you touched on it there, is in the build-up, Dejan Lovren played the ball up and it bounced off Bernardo Silva's hand, which then put it onto Trent's thigh and onto his hand. Now, I've got to be honest, I'm screaming for a handball if that's the other way around. But what confuses me about this is we were all told at the start of the season, and we had a goal chalked out. I think it was Sadio Mane that had a handball in the build-up to a goal. And any handball, accidental or not, that leads to a goal will be ruled out from the attacking side. So what confused me was that would have led to a penalty perhaps for Manchester City through an accidental handball. Therein lies a grey area in the rules for me, and they've gained an advantage from that accidental handball. If the accidental handball had have led, let's say, went past Trent to Raheem Sterling, who was in behind, he knocks it into the goal, that goal gets ruled out. That's the grey area for me. Why should they have potentially gained an advantage from an accidental handball?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think a thing through throughout the season at the moment has been majorly talked about by, I think, the whole of the Premier League and the whole of football is VAR. Now, my personal opinion about it is there's so much wrong with it at the moment, it needs to be taken out. And it's like what Robbo said out of from the Manchester United game. If it's not perfect, don't use it. And I think that is the perfect way of looking at it. And I agree with you in the sense of they need to maybe change the rules and look at it more clearly then, and have, instead of the attacking team having the advantage, then you should just lay it out all for the defensive and the attacking side. In your opinion, then, would you get rid of VAR at the moment?
I'm still on the fence to some degree. I think there's certain aspects at work. I used to think that it worked for offsides until recently, where the Bobby Firmino incident, that one really annoyed me, because you could almost tell that he was going to keep moving that until he found one angle that showed that he was offside. Now, you also had Sheffield United, the incident against Spurs as well, where the yellow line that they used, actually it was a black line for the offensive player, that they brought through was still going through the Spurs player's shoulder but yet it was given as offside. Now, there's a couple of things when you're talking about things that are that close. One, how can anybody be 100% certain when the pass or the cross leaves the attacking player's foot? And then you're talking minuscule margins there. So the semantics of it are, people will say there needs to be, clear air between the two, but where do you draw that line? So for me, if it's that close, it should go with the attacking player. Always, if it's that close. Now, apart from that, VAR is almost redundant in the Premier League. My big gripe with it is the same as most people. You want the referee to be in charge of the game. And the fact that they're not overturning refereeing decisions is probably, in some ways, a good thing because they want to support the referee. But if there's any doubt, why can't the referee go and have a look at the monitor? So let's say, for instance, the Trent incident, the handball. So Michael Oliver's first impression was, no, I'm seeing it, I've seen it. But if they said, Michael, maybe just have a look at that, mate. Let him run over, let him stand over his decision. The same with the Wilfred Zaha incident. Why did that have to be overturned by VAR? Why couldn't, I think it was Martin Atkinson maybe that was refereeing that game. I could be wrong on that one. But why didn't he run over to the side of the pitch and just have a quick look and go, oh, I got that one wrong. Sorry, we're seeing the card penalty like it was given. You want the referee to be making the decisions. The referee is the person in charge of the game. Give him everything he needs to make those decisions, to make a well-rounded decision. If that involves him going over to a monitor, then so be it. VAR, for me, should be used for offsides and clearly missed incidents like Raheem Sterling, his little snidey stamp on Van Dijk's ankle. That's the type of thing that I think VAR should be used for outside of offside.
Yeah, I agree with you with that. And you said it quite perfectly there. Like, I don't think any referee has gone over to the side monitor yet in any Premier League game. And I think that is probably the main problem. It's like you said, the referee should be in charge. Yes, the VAR should assist. That's what it's there for. It's there to help the referee. But there on the day, the referee should be the final decision and not someone in Stanley Park. But yeah, I perfectly agree with you with that.
The Stockley Park thing annoys me because it is open to manipulation. If we wanted to be really cynical about this, and I've seen some people online talk about how potentially it could be affecting the betting markets for games. Now, you could get into this in a lot more detail, but you want the referee that's on the pitch to be in charge, and VAR should only be there for what they keep saying themselves, clear and obvious errors. Yes, they need some help with the offside, but like the Sheffield United one, like I don't want to talk about the Firmino one because it sounds like it's too biased. Come a Liverpool fan, the Sheffield United one should have been a goal. They were absolutely robbed, and for them to have come out and tried to defend that decision and stand over it, that's I think what drives people mad. That and the lack of information inside the stadium, like at Anfield and Old Trafford, no big screens, so there needs to be constant communication of what's going on.
Yeah, and I think you said it perfectly right there. Sheffield United got robbed. And me personally, I find it funny that both times, even for the Firmino one and the Sheffield United, the Premier League official Twitter account tweeted out saying like a statement or something, trying to defend it. And you can quite clearly tell no one's buying it. And I think they do definitely need to change that. But
mate, when you've got Andy Gray, very anti-Liverpool, saying that was a blatant goal for Bobby Firmino. It was ridiculous. Then you know something's up. Like, and he's basically saying when he's doing his analysis, like, this is me saying this, I'm saying this, and all he's short of saying is, I hate Liverpool and I'm saying this. So, yeah, I think it's fair to say there's still some little things that needs to be worked out.
It's like you said though, Andy Gray. It's like everyone hates Andy Gray if you're a Liverpool fan, but then I just found it perfectly when he was going, it's not even straight, and just showing how much of an angle it was. That was just brilliant.
Paul Tompkins was the first person I seen about that. He did a screenshot and he showed the perfect 90-degree angle and he showed how off it was. And then Connor from our own channel actually went and worked out that, in his opinion, it was about 2.5 degrees off being straight.
Mental, man. So we'll move on quickly from VAR. That is a whole brilliant topic to talk about, but we will move on now, guys. But we will move on to Liverpool season in general. How have you thought Liverpool have done? It's pretty amazing what we've done. Obviously, we've won every single game in the Premier League, bar one, and that was just a little bit of a mental block. I think it was a little bit. We were playing the occasion more than the actual team in Manchester United. But overall, what have you thought on Liverpool's season so far?
It is a strange one, isn't it? Because I would be lying if I came on here and said that we absolutely have been playing to the best of our ability. We've ground out some games and we've been winning a lot of games by one goal. But at the end of the day, mate, it doesn't really matter as long as we're putting the points on the board. And to have 30, what have we dropped? 2 points so far this season, 34 from 36. It's unbelievable. It truly is unbelievable when you look. We've played Manchester United, we've played Arsenal, we've played Chelsea, Spurs, Leicester, Burnley away, Manchester City. Like, we've had a very difficult start to the season.
Yeah.
And for those guys to keep digging out like they have, yes, we've had a little bit of luck, like the Dan Henderson gaff for Sheffield United. We've had a little bit of luck, but you need that. We've deserved that. It would have been very easy for us last season to have gotten 97 points. And yes, we won the Champions League, but for those guys to have just felt a bit sorry for themselves and thought, what do we have to do? But to have started like we have, to already have an 8-point lead and a 9-point lead then over Manchester City after 12 games, I am so proud of this football club. I'm so proud of that group of players. And it will be a travesty if they don't lift the Premier League title.
Yeah, I agree with it 100% there. I can't remember who said it a little bit, but I think it was Virgil van Dijk, and this is going back to the first Champions League final that we reached in Kiev, and he was talking, I think it was something to do with goal, and he was like saying that was the worst feeling ever in his career, losing a Champions League, when you're in the final and you're so close to it. And I think what Klopp has done brilliantly, in my opinion, is that year when we were so close to the Champions League, when I don't even think Liverpool fans thought we'd get to a Champions League final that season. They think, okay, we'll get out the group stage, go to the knockouts, and then we'll see what we can do. But then Klopp has taken this team from being questionable to insatiable, if that makes sense. It's like Klopp, like, we had that downbeat of Kiev, and then we went on and won the Champions League the next year, because I think the whole squad and everyone knew how it felt to lose and didn't want that to happen again. And I think this year it's clearly to see with the Premier League again. Like last season, if you had said at the start of the season we were going to miss out on the league by 1 point and accumulate in 97 points, I think you're joking. I think most Liverpool fans would say you were joking. And I think this season, it's the same as the Champions League. I think Klopp's gone, what the heartache of it was, missing out on the league. And I think that this year he's gone, well, you don't want that to be us again. You don't want to miss out on the league title. Like, we're going to have to push that extra bit, even though we've done so well in getting 97 points. And I think Klopp even said, like, if you had said to me at the start of the season we'd have 34 points out of 36, it'd be unbelievable. And I think so far what he's done with his team, and like you said rightfully, we've played practically all the big teams at the moment, and we've played bottom teams at their ground. We've played tough games. And, Manchester City yet, I'm not saying like they're not going to do it, but like they haven't played the likes of Leicester, Chelsea, Arsenal. They haven't gone and tested themselves yet, and they already have 3 defeats, if that makes sense. And, I don't know if this is just my personal preference. I'll ask you in a minute, but, if Manchester City have lost 3 games already through the injuries they've had, could you see them losing maybe double what they've lost already, or even more this season?
Yeah, it's tough. I've got to be honest. I thought to myself, if we beat them at Anfield, their focus is going to shift towards the Champions League. I think that's how Pep Guardiola is measuring himself, and that's how I think he was brought in to win. Same with Bayern Munich, he was brought in there. It's a given he's winning the Bundesliga with Bayern Munich. That was always going to happen. But he couldn't quite get over the line to win the Champions League. So he came to Manchester City. First year, it was a building process. I think that's fair to say. Second, third year, absolutely phenomenal. But he still hasn't been able to get to a Champions League semi-final yet, even, I think, with Manchester City. And that tells you a lot, because they have been so dominant domestically in what is probably the toughest league in Europe. And For us to have ran them so close last season with 97 points, I mean, you've got to give immense credit to Manchester City for the finish of that season that they had. It's very easy for us to sit back and be bitter about it as Liverpool fans, but we pushed them all the way, and they had to win the last 14 games or so to go and win that title. And that meant a lot to them, and in a weird way, they won what we wanted and we won what they wanted last season. Now this season, we've got off with like a steam train, as you said, 34 points from 36. And I think when Manchester City and Pep Guardiola seen those fixtures in the summer when they were released, genuinely think they thought they'd be sitting with a maybe 4 or 5 point lead at this point of the season. And I would have said if we could have just kept within touching distance of them when they seen the start of the season that we've had, I never in my wildest dreams, mate, thought we'd be sitting here on. I just want to say to the guys that are watching, don't take this for granted. You really are witnessing something very, very special with this Liverpool team under Jurgen Klopp. And the journey, the fun, these little moments, you've got to enjoy it. Because yes, it would be lovely to see Henderson lift the trophy at the end of the season, but all these little individual moments and the little wins along the way. I mean, my favourite memory of last season wasn't going and winning in Madrid. It was the Barcelona semi-final. And that will live with me forever. And to do that without Mohamed Salah, without Bobby Firmino, and with Andy Robertson going off injured, it is a truly special group of players that we're privileged to watch. And I'm really excited about what's ahead this season. I cannot wait, and nobody is going to live with us, I don't think, in the Premier League.
Yeah, I know, I agree with that. It's so hard in it not to get carried away with, we're top of the league by 8 points, 9 points in front of City. You've seen loads of pundits saying like, "Oh, the title race is over," and it's like you said, it's like if we beat Manchester City, and we did beat Manchester City, it's now a realistic thing to go. We could now win the Premier League the first time in 30 years. Win a first division title of Premier League. And, it's, for me personally, if Liverpool are still top by the end of our mad Christmas period, and then still ahead of City, that I think will finish first or second, but hopefully the second, behind the mighty Reds. But if I think if we got like a 5 or 6 point lead when we play them at the Etihad and we draw or win that game, I think that, for me, then I think that the realistic thing of winning the title will be there. I don't know if that's the same with you, but for me, after that game against Manchester City, when we're playing there next, I think if it's 5 or 6 points, I think then the title talk will get to my head a bit. I don't know if you're the same with that.
I'm trying to be very pragmatic in the way I'm thinking about this. So right now we've a 9 point lead over Manchester City, an 8 point lead over Chelsea and Leicester. I genuinely think that they'll both fall away, Chelsea and Leicester, and I think they'll get top 4, and I really hope Leicester do it. But with the Manchester City side of it, let's say that minimum for them, they drop 6 more points in the rest of the season. Whether that be 3 draws, I don't think that's unrealistic to believe. That means we're going to have to drop 15 points between now and the end of the season. I can't see where we're dropping 15 points between them, and that's with them only dropping 6. And they've dropped 9, as you said already, and we've only played 12 games, not even 1/3 of the way through the season. So that's the way I'm choosing to look at it. Whatever about us dropping points and people closing the gap, they have to then remain unbeaten to keep that up. And that is a big ask. Leicester have the advantage of not having European football, if you can look at that as an advantage, which in the top 4 race it probably is. It's too early to say it's over, but it is a massive, massive result at Anfield. That's all I can say at this moment in time. You can't say one hand on the trophy, but we're definitely like this, getting ready. Put it that way.
Yeah, definitely. But it's one of these things, isn't it? It's like we've already played Leicester, and it's like you said, they've already dropped 9 points from us, and they haven't even played Leicester yet. And yet Leicester, over certain years, have been a bogey team, really, for Manchester City, especially away from home. For them, and Leicester this season look like, so far this season, obviously they look like the second best team in the league because they have the defense and they have the attack. Could you see Leicester maybe getting in the title race? I do agree with you that Chelsea will fall off. I do agree. Do you think though that Leicester could put their name in the hat alongside Liverpool and Manchester City?
I think the trouble Leicester might have is they have a very good 11, but their squad isn't very deep. So heaven forbid they had an injury to Vardy or Maddison for a prolonged period of time, that could affect them. I think they will. I hope they get top four. I mean, obviously you've got friends, Anthony and Lee Chappie and stuff that I want Leicester to do well. And I kind of I'm fighting for Brendan Rodgers as well. I've got to be honest. I've always said I rate him as a coach. I think the Liverpool job came too early for him in his career. He got given too much responsibility, which he probably shouldn't have had. He is an excellent coach, and for him to go there and do what he's done so quickly, I think speaks volumes from him. And I don't think they'll be there really fighting for the title at the end of the season, but I think there will be a nice healthy gap between the top four and fifth or sixth. And if it finishes Liverpool, City, Leicester, Chelsea, then that will be a job very well done for Brendan Rodgers and Leicester City, and for Frank Lampard and Chelsea as well. I've got to say he's doing a tremendous job there. And Chelsea kind of had a shot to nothing with him because they knew they had to transfer a ban. It was probably the perfect time to roll the dice with him, and the young players are stepping up, and that should encourage other clubs and other managers to have more belief in the younger players, because they are at these clubs for a reason. They are brought in there at the youth age for a reason. Often at times the managerial merry-go-round means a manager can be 3-4 bad results away from his job being under pressure, and much like politicians, there's no such thing as long-term thinking because they're under immediate pressure and they only deal in 3-4 year cycles. So a kind of luck fell for Chelsea. But with Leicester, you've got to give tremendous credit to the board, because obviously they had that tragedy at the club, and our thoughts and love and prayers are always going to be with Leicester over that. But for them to have remained so focused, it would have been easy for those owners after winning the Premier League to just go, hey, we've done it. We've brought European football to the king power. But no, they've refocused. They've doubled down. They've been very clever in their transfer business. And you've got to tip your hat to them and say it's a job well done.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I will always thank Brendan Rodgers for that 13-14 season. You know, that for me was one of the most unbelievable seasons to be a part of Liverpool Football Club. And, you know, yes, we come up short that year, but you know, it was just the belief that year, and, you know, it was almost our year, and it was just really unfortunate what happened. And I do agree with you with the sense where I think it came too early for Brendan Rodgers and a lot was put on him. But I personally hope Leicester do well this season. I hope Liverpool beat them. I'm not saying that. I hope Liverpool do beat them whenever we do play them. But yeah, I hope Brendan Rodgers and Frank Lampard all the best.
20, I think it's the 26th. I think we played them on Boxing Day.
Yeah,
because I was looking at going over, and then when I realised when it was, like, no, there's no way my wife let me leave.
Yeah, I think we play Leicester at like 7:45. I think on Boxing Day. I think, which the travel issues is going to be ridiculous. Whoever's going for the game, but you did mention transfers with Leicester. We are going to talk a little bit about transfers a little bit. Obviously, this is an international break. You see some wild rumours. Obviously, today there's been some rumours with Jadon Sancho. If you haven't seen our video on Jadon Sancho, will it be Sancho 2020 or Mbappe 2020? It's on our channel, guys, so please go and check it out. For you, I'll ask you that question, Craig. Who would you prefer? Would you prefer Sancho 2020 or Mbappe 2020?
If I could have either, Mbappe every day of the week, without a shadow of a doubt. He is, it's no secret, he is the next superstar of world football. I mean, Sancho, I don't know how much, like, he's a good player, but you always get that extra English hype around these players. Yeah, I can't see either happening, if I'm being really honest, and I'd so love to be wrong on this, but there are transfers that, I think the Nike, you're going to touch on Nike later on, but I think that will have an impact. I think there's a big transfer coming, but I just can't stake my hat on where it will be. You can't, like, there was a beautiful piece in the Echo that spoke about the potential of us buying Kylian Mbappe and how the finances of it would work. They came to the conclusion that yes, as a club with the Nike deal, we could afford it, but it would probably push us right to the edge. I mean, when you get into talking about amortization and stuff like that, it is quite complicated. And a football finance expert, I certainly am not. But that article for me was really well done. They worked off the assumption that he might want something like 400 grand a week. Yes, you can then talk about that destabilising the wage structure of the club, and a top earner's been on around the 200k plus bonus mark at the minute as things stand. Oh, it's so easy to let yourself get carried away, isn't it? Like, I mean, we've been singing the hashtag Mbappe 2020 dream for quite a while, and I think when you hear him saying things like, "Oh, I played Liverpool when I'm playing FIFA," and you have the whole stuff with Fabinho as well, and things like that, and you hear Jurgen Klopp speaking so highly of him, we can but dream, mate. And when you hear the manager saying that the best players in the world are now coming and saying, "I want to play for Liverpool Football Club," again, it's a beautiful thing, but I don't want to let myself dream yet because I've been and we've all been hurt before. I think the Nabil Fekir thing. I mean, I was almost heartbroken when that didn't happen. But when you hear why it didn't happen and you see his performances for Betis, you kind of understand that the decisions that are made by the guys that are running our club are the right ones. And I said it on our channel before. There are very few transfers we haven't made that have made us look foolish. If you look at Conor Playenka, if you look at Alex Teixeira, if you even look at right now Nicolas Pepe, he's not setting the world alight for Arsenal. It's too early to rule him out. I mean, it would be very unfair. You've got to give everyone a year to settle, but there's been very few that we've gotten wrong, and even the ones that we have, if you were to look at let's say the keeper situation. I mean, yeah, okay, maybe he's over in Besiktas now, Karius, and he's not setting the world alight, but we'll still triple our outlay on him if we were to move him on. So even from that perspective, it hasn't been the worst in the world from a £4.5 million gamble.
No, exactly, mate. And, it's like you said, it's very hard not to put everything into Kylian Mbappe with all the rumours and the talk about him, but it would just be so nice to have Kylian Mbappe. And like you said, I think he's a future Ballon d'Or winner, in my opinion anyway. And I think that, like you said, he's the future of football. And, it's like what Klopp said, it is now, Liverpool is a place where people don't stepstone Liverpool. It's where they come to finish their careers and be superstars for the club. And I think that is like perfect in a way. But then who realistically would be your 3 signings then you would make in January or next summer then for Liverpool, depending on contract situations? Because obviously Lallana is a rumour that he's going to be let go. There is some reports saying that he's been given a new contract, but nothing else. But then who do you think could come into the club?
So there's a few players that we've been keeping track on. All right, Tonali being one of them. The young kid, I think he's playing the second division in Italy. I can't remember what side it is with.
I can't remember.
I can't remember either. So we've definitely been keeping an eye on him. If you remember, there was a guy called Amor, a Turkish kid who was talked about as an Adam Lallana long-term replacement. But realistically, I mean, yes, Timo Werner went and signed a new contract with RB Leipzig, but there is rumours that there's a 30 million quid release clause in there. There's certain conditions I think that have to be met for that. So for me, he started out as a wide left-sided player when he started his career, so got that versatility across the front 3. So he'd be somebody I'd love to see. I know these are probably going to be obvious answers, but they're obvious for a reason and that they make sense. After that, it's difficult because you don't want to block Harvey Elliott, you don't want to block Ryan Brewster, and you've got to give these guys the opportunity to succeed at the club. So maybe a left back, who I have no idea. I've got to be really honest about it. I have no idea. I mean, there are young guys coming through, perhaps. I mean, we've seen Larouci during the summer. He looked really good. Then you get Williams on the right-hand side. So even there, you can make an argument for the youngsters. After that, I still think we need a wide forward. So whether it is somebody like Sancho, I mean, if you're going to go superstar, the hot topic, the hot player is Haaland. Obviously, he's the one that everybody's talking about because of the season that he's having. Funnily enough, something that made me laugh was they were talking about him staying with the Red Bull brand and perhaps moving on to Leipzig. But what made me laugh about that was, do you remember the situation where they both qualified for the Champions League? And they restructured, and we were all told that no, they're no longer both they're no longer both Red Bull clubs, and now they're saying, oh yeah, you might stick with the Red Bull brand and go to Leipzig. You're all lying. Yeah. You're completely lying. So him would be great. I mean, his father's come out and said he'd have no problem if he went and signed for Liverpool, but they seem to have slapped, I think 80 million is the figure going around for him. There are probably people out there now screaming names at me, but I love the curveball. I love the Fabinho type transfer that nobody's seen coming and just gets pulled out. And whatever we think as fans, I mean, we spoke earlier on about for a long time thinking we needed a number 6 or a DM. We talk about these things sometimes like Klopp and the coaching staff aren't aware of it. That they might know. Like anything we know, they know 10 times more. And anybody we've looked at, they've been looking at for probably 18 to 24 months. And we don't make reactive signings as a football club. We scout people for a long time. There was a brilliant article from Melissa Reddy about the Firmino scouting and how long they scouted him for. Different types of weather, different environments, whether they were winning, whether they were losing, what he was like off the pitch. There's a lot goes into transfers these days. So I think whoever we're going to sign, we've been working on and we've been monitoring for 12 to 18 months. So I don't think it'll be the new flashy, sexy kid that suddenly just came out of nowhere. So I think it'll be somebody who, again, will just go, oh yeah, that makes sense. The Werner one, I wonder why, if it is Werner, if we ever do, I wonder why we didn't do it earlier. I wonder if we'll see a deal maybe like we've seen for Naby where somebody's agreed and we don't get them till the summer. But yeah, it's exciting, it's interesting, but it's also very difficult to go and find somebody who would come in and improve this squad, or somebody who's willing to come and fight for their place. Because with the likes of Nicolas Pepe, we'd kind of heard that he wanted a guarantee of first team football, and you're not going to get that at Liverpool when you've got Sadio Mane, Bobby Firmino, Mohamed Salah ahead of you, and rightly so. So I'm just happy, like you said earlier on, that we're not a stepping stone club. We have, like Felipe Coutinho as an example. He moved on before the prime of his career, but now we are getting the Virgil van Dijks, the Sadio Manes, Firminos, the Salahs in the prime of their career at our football club. And we're not worried about them. Like this summer, we didn't have to worry about a single player moving on. For the first time in God knows how long, we've seen stories linking them, but everyone to a man was just going, no, that's nonsense. They're not going anywhere. And that for me is the most satisfying part of all of it. Whoever comes in, so be it. But the fact that we are getting these guys in their prime, staying at our club, is the best signings of all for me. The renewal of the contract has been fantastic.
Yeah, I perfectly agree with that. I think you've hit the nail on the head, really, by saying whoever comes in will be the perfect fit. And I think Klopp, over the last few years, has done that very, very well. I remember when we signed Gini Wijnaldum, and like I got a few Newcastle friends, and they were saying, "Oh, he's terrible. He's crap. I don't know why you've spent 25 million on him." And then when we watched him, like the first game of the season, he was just a tremendous midfielder. And I thought, wow, how wrong I was. What do I know about football? It's just Klopp knows everything about football, and he knows what players are perfect for the system. And it's like what we said about Fabinho. It's like he's perfect for the system now after Klopp has done it. It's like, I think it was something with Alisson as well. I think in 2017, Liverpool played Roma in a pre-season friendly, and the Liverpool goalkeeping coach, John Aldridge, said that, that was the goalkeeper I was telling you about. And then since then, apparently, Liverpool was scouting Alisson. And then, obviously, you had the rumours of Klopp putting in a 44 million bid, I think it was, in the January. And that got declined. But then, obviously, we did sign Alisson for 70 million plus. And, it's just those little things in it. It's like we could have easily moved on with Van Dijk. When we got rejected in the summer, we could have moved on and looked for another centre-back. But, Klopp went, that's the centre-back I want. That's the centre-back that's going to change our game. And then we ended up signing Virgil van Dijk for 75 million. And then he's changed the whole defence. It's not just him. It's obviously, look at Andy Robbo, £8 million when we first signed him. Everyone was like, we need a first-class left-back for plenty of money. But then here comes Andy Robbo. In 18 months, he's been the best left-back in the world, in my opinion. And it's like, whatever Klopp knows about football, we don't. Because I don't think any of us would look at that. And it's like you perfectly said it. I don't think he'll be someone that we all know, if that makes sense. It won't be like an Andy Robinson. It won't be someone that's like name is like main headlines. Then it'll just be someone that we kind of know, and then will become a superstar under Jurgen Klopp in this system. And for me, anyway, my transfers would be Werner. I think Werner, that one's very interesting. I think that one you could end up seeing him, like you said, buying him in January and then loaning him back out. I think that's a huge possibility because I think rightfully his contract has like a release clause of like 36 million or something like that. It's very low anyway.
And
But
there's also there's something I'm sure I've read somewhere about that contract that the club that comes in has to be ranked in the top 10 in Europe or something
yeah,
along those lines.
I do remember that. I think the only 8 teams that can sign him are Liverpool, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, and all like the top ones like Barcelona and all the top teams in Europe. I think you are right with that. And you know, why wouldn't you want to join anyone else than Liverpool? Obviously, it's like you said, he most likely won't get first team football because who's going to get in a team with the best front three in the world at the minute with Mane, Firmino, and Salah? But another person I want to get your opinions on. We were talking about Leicester earlier on, and obviously the Adam Lallana situation. Me personally, I love James Maddison. I love watching him. I think he's a brilliant football player, and he reminds me a lot of an Adam Lallana. Could you see us maybe signing a person like James Maddison?
Interestingly enough, the summer he signed for Leicester, we were linked with him. He picked up an ankle injury at the end of the season for Norwich, and things kind of went quiet. And then Leicester went and pulled the trigger and got the deal done. The problem with Maddison is a couple of things. Well, probably three. One, he's English, so he's going to cost more money than somebody else in that position. Two, Leicester are building a team around him at the minute and don't really need to sell him financially. And if I'm being brutally honest, and I don't like to say this, if I'm him, I'm looking at my situation going, right, I have a team here with young, hungry players, a manager who loves what I'm doing. I've come on leaps and bounds. The fans love me. I'm probably all right here for another 18 months. And that's the part that worries me the most is that it makes sense for him to stay where he is for the time being and continue on his progression. But I would love him. I do agree with you 100%. He's a quality footballer. I actually listened to a post-match interview he did after... Who did they play recently? Chelsea. I think it was Arsenal. Sorry, they beat Arsenal. And he came on afterwards and he spoke very, very well. You could see he's got a wise head on those young shoulders. So I am with you, but I just think if I'm advising him, I'm saying you're all right where you are, mate, for another 12 to 18 months. The big moves are always going to be there, and you're probably going to be playing Champions League football next season anyway. So go do it at Leicester, where you're going to play 9 times out of 10, get your minutes up, and the big clubs are still going to become knocking. It kills me to say that because I love him, but that's my honest opinion.
Yeah, I think it would take a big money move, I think, really, to move him from Leicester, because like you said, it's going to take a lot for him to move, because, he is now at the minute the main man at Leicester, and it does pain me to say that I think we won't get him, but I do really, really want him at Liverpool, because he is an absolutely quality player. But, yeah, moving on, guys, this is now the main topic of the podcast. How will the Nike kit deal affect Liverpool? Now, obviously, if you've been living under a rock, there's been a high court case recently over the last, it's a few weeks ago now, where Nike and Liverpool won their court case over New Balance. It's nothing confirmed yet, the reported contract between Liverpool and Nike is a 30 million guarantee and then a 20% on all merchandise sales. So then it will end up taking the price fee anywhere between 75 and 85 million pounds, which, would move us quite a bit far up. I think taking us over Manchester United that currently hold the kit, money deal. So, Craig, how do you think this Nike kit deal will affect Liverpool?
Massively, and in a good way. So one of the things that, and again, a lot of this is me reading between the lines because I in no way want to pretend like I'm speaking for the club here because I certainly amn't. But from what I was reading, a lot of the thing came around two main things. China and that Asian market is something that Liverpool and many football clubs really want to try and break because it's a growing market, and Nike themselves has grown by 26% in that market in the past year, and I think that's something that really attracted Liverpool to perhaps getting a foothold in there. Also, distribution. I mean, how many times have we seen wonderful Liverpool New Balance kits be put out there and then them be unavailable to get? So you've got the club going around trying to copyright Liverpool from a footballing perspective, and they're saying that they're doing it to stop the sale of fake kits and stuff like that. Well, New Balance released a goalkeeper's kit this season that anybody could have told you would have sold like hotcakes, and we were still in October and people couldn't get that kit. So that's money lost to Liverpool Football Club. That's money lost to New Balance. And it's more fake shirts being sold around the world. So Liverpool didn't want that distribution problem as well. And I think that New Balance were trying to exaggerate what they could do with regards to distribution. But outside of that, I mean, you had the Serena Williams, the Drake, the LeBron James, and the Chinese market as well. And just having Nike behind you, it makes a difference. I mean, the 30 million with 20%, I think that's genius. I really think there's very few football clubs in the world that get a share of sales. Usually, with New Balance, for instance, I think they brought in 65 million from the sales of Liverpool shirts. And they have given Liverpool 2 record-breaking home shirt sales back to back. You've got to give them credit for that, but they can't compete. I mean, when Nike come to town, I mean, you know you're in a good place as a club, and Nike are knocking the door down to get you on board. And I've got to be honest, I'm an Adidas I'm an Adidas fanboy completely.
Same,
but I just want what's best for the football club, and you can't question the commercial aspect of what we've done as a club over the past few years. So just sit back and enjoy is all I'm going to say. And I just hope that Nike treat Liverpool with the same respect that New Balance have with regard to the wonderful little touches. I mean, I love the trainers that New Balance have brought out and stuff, and the Bob Paisley stuff on the shirt that you're wearing right there now on the back of the neck. It's a beautiful touch, and I just hope that we don't get a copy and paste version for Liverpool's kits from Nike. If they can stay away from that, then I think there's going to be a beautiful relationship there.
Yeah, definitely. That's the maybe one thing that I'm a bit lost in. Like me, I love football kits. Football kits for me, like it's a must in life. And you know, the previous few years with New Balance, they've been really, really good because they've issued 3 wonderful kits in the last 3 years. Now, it's like you said, I don't want, you know, to be a copy and paste. You want its own originality, then you could say. And you know, I think that commercially wise and like money wise, it's a perfect deal for Liverpool, because you know, it's like what you said, it's a rare thing where teams have percentage in overall sales then. And it's like Manchester United. I think Manchester United's deal is like 70 million or 75 million, and that's just a whole bunch of money. Now Liverpool, if Nike create beautiful kits and training kits and shoes for Liverpool and hoodies and all like this, then Liverpool could be looking at like 100 million, 110 million, depending on how much they sell. And I think that's a brilliant thing for us. It's like you said about New Balance, even though they have made perfect kits for us, they don't have many of them back in stock. It's like you said, the beautiful goalkeeper kit, that is probably one of the beautifulest kits they've given us, really. But you had people, like you said, in October wanting them, and they were already out of stock. And I think if you look on the Liverpool website now, I think the away and third kit, I think they're practically sold out now. And you're looking around Christmas time, and you know, Christmas time, it's like, you know, you want people buying kits for like loved ones and all like that, and it's like now they go on the website and they can't go to the official Liverpool site and buy them, so they do look for fakes. And you know, most of the fakes now look pretty much spot on, and it's like they even feel spot on as well, because they're trying to beat the originals. Like, and you know, more and more people will go to the fakes because they can't get the real things. Like, I got this one. This was a birthday present off my nan, but like she said, like I was lucky because the next day after she ordered it, they were out of stock in it. And it's like, you go, wow, like it's so, you have to literally be on the mark. I think with Nike, it's going to be a lot different. You're going to be able to get the kits all year round. And it's like what you said, you just want the kits to be fashionable. I don't know if you're the same as me. I do love hoodies. And, you know, at the minute under New Balance, Liverpool haven't really got any hoodies. They got like 1 or 2. But, you know, I've
got them both as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got the 2 hoodies you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's like, you look at PSG, for example, under Jordan, and you're like, you look at like their hoodies and jackets. They've got beautiful jackets and hoodies, and you're like, if that's Liverpool next season, like you can walk around the streets, with Liverpool on you, and the more and more people that see Liverpool on like t-shirts, hoodies, whatever, like they're gonna go, oh, like that's the club that Nike are with, and that's the club that is currently the best in the world with the Nike. I don't know if that's your thoughts as well.
I'll give you an example. So I've been fortunate enough on family holidays and stuff to gone to the States a few times over the past few years, specifically Orlando. So if I walk into an Adidas shop over there, you're going to have all the Adidas manufactured clubs for sale. If I walk into a Nike store, factory store over there, you're going to have all the Nike clubs. I walked into 3 or 4 separate New Balance stores and didn't see a Liverpool shirt anywhere to be had. Simple little small things like that, like just the event. I've had friends from South Africa who haven't been able to get shirts, and just being able to get the shirts, as you said, and yes, Nike won't be shy. Like Nike are clever. Nike won't be shy about making the type of stuff you're talking about, the hoodies and all that, and they will be expensive. We're going to pay through the nose. That's one downside to this. Is unfortunately, I'm of the belief that the shirts will become more expensive than they have been under New Balance, and that is sad. But I mean, if it leads to us getting the Kylian Mbappe's or the Jadon Sancho's, then so be it. But like you, I love a hoodie. I love a training top. And it is limited under. I mean, people keep asking me, for instance, I wear one particular hoodie quite a lot, and people go, "Oh, that's a really nice hoodie. Where do you get it?" And I got it on the club website, but it looks like crap on the club website because of the terrible picture that they've taken of it. So yeah, I'm with you, mate. I hope that with Nike, and it's still, the funny thing is, it hasn't even been confirmed. We're all led to believe that Nike have ordered £6 million worth of material for the shirt, that the shade has been agreed, and that they've even signed off or agreed on a kit design for next season. So we're just waiting for the nod, I suppose, and they have to be respectful to New Balance as well, because New Balance still have shirts to sell. I mean, they brought out the 6 times range now, which is basically last season's shirt they had left over with a little bit extra on it. And look, fair play to them in that regard. But like you've said, it is Christmas. People are going to be going on there. I actually went looking for a training top myself in the past couple of weeks. Wasn't able to get it.
Yeah. It's one of these things, anyway, you just want to go on there and buy it. And saying that, I think, I could be wrong with this, but I think the rumoured colours for next season, obviously red for the home kit, and then I think the away one was green and white, and then the third kit is going to be black and yellow. So if they can give us very fashionable kits, I think loads of people will be happy, and that. But I think a lot of people will just buy the kits anyway, just for the badge in front. I'll personally do that anyway. But if they're an extra nice about it, like this one I'm wearing right now, then I think that's just an extra bonus then for the Reds altogether then, isn't it?
Yeah, we've also got the blackout shirt. We never mentioned that actually, that New Balance brought out, which I was fortunate enough to get one this season. I missed out every other year, but for some reason this year, I don't know, it was serendipitous. I woke up very early that day. I happened to click on. I managed to order one straight away, and I got one. But I do love those little touches, and I hope Nike do something similar. I hope that you spoke about the home shirt, the Portuguese shade, is the one that keeps getting mentioned to me. That's the kind of shade of red that you're talking about for the home shirt, and I'm excited, mate. I always try and buy at least 2 of the 3 shirts every season when they come out. I mean, I can't wear white. It doesn't suit me. So this year I didn't buy the white one, but I've got the home one. I bought a couple of the training tops, and look, I'm a sucker. I'm a fanboy. I'm like you. I like football shirts, so I'll probably end up spending a lot of money no matter what gets put out there. But you just want it to be nice looking, and with New Balance, they've always made sure that they're good for casual wear, as you've said as well.
Yeah, I know exactly. So moving on a little bit slightly, we obviously mentioned the big money deal then, and we did mention transfers. Now, there has been a few rumours going around that Nike athletes, they will contribute money to it. I think that was what was practically said. Obviously, Mbappe is a Nike athlete, and you got others Nike athletes. Obviously, there's a rumour going around as well. Obviously, Klopp and Sadio Mane will terminate their contracts with or like they're at the end of their contracts with New Balance and will sign a deal with Nike when it's all confirmed and that. Do you think that Nike will necessarily add money to Liverpool's transfer spending, or do you think it'll just be because they're Nike athletes and Nike branded sports people?
A couple of things on that. The Sadio one I think is done. I think he's definitely ended the agreement with New Balance and he's going to be going with Nike. But it's interesting because you often hear people say, oh, when Juventus signed Cristiano Ronaldo, shirt sales alone will pay for that. Well, a lot of the time that's nonsense, because we spoke earlier on about the fact that Liverpool are going to be one of the few clubs that have a percentage. So what usually happens is, if you go this season as an example, if you go to a Liverpool club store and you buy the shirt from there, all that Liverpool receive from that is what's called a merchant's cut. And that's the same as you going into JD Sports or you going into Sports Direct. It's just that little margin that any sale, any shop has. But if you're talking about bringing in Kylian Mbappe or you're talking about Jadon Sancho, then you could genuinely say that shirt sales alone could well pay, or at least go a long way to paying for that player to come in, genuinely for once, rather than it just being fan talk nonsense. Will they have any sway? I think we'd be naive to think that they don't. I think that it's in their interest as well to have their athletes with clubs that are wearing their shirts, and that's one of the more exciting parts about Nike, again, is the fact that they do have some top quality athletes. Yeah, I mean, I'm even sitting here now and I'm thinking about Mbappe in the shirt. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I don't blame you, mate. It's one of these things that just like visualizing Kylian Mbappe in a nice Liverpool jersey, in front of the Kop, and with the shirt, and the photographs, and you're like, wow, if that could happen, then it would be absolutely marvelous. Thinking about that, then, do you think that one of the front three, if it was to happen, the Kylian Mbappe deal, do you think it could end up meaning one of the front three leaves? Or do you think we could keep hold of the front three and sign Mbappe?
It's a difficult answer. It's a loaded answer, isn't it? Because whatever you say, someone's going to say, oh, you want to sell X, Y, or Z. I don't think we need to, but I think from the murmurings that seem to be coming out, it seems that perhaps of the three, and this is just guesswork from my part, but Salah seems the most likely to potentially move on. And if he is a little bit, not say injury prone, but if he's going through a period where he can't be relied on to play the amount of games, then maybe that makes sense. But like you and everybody else, I don't want Mo to move on. I don't want Sadio to move on. And I absolutely don't want Bobby Firmino to move on. So I hope it's an addition. But if a player is to move on, I think it'll be because the player perhaps wants to move on and not because the club are looking to cash in and free up money. I genuinely believe that it'll be because somebody says to Klopp, I think I might need a new challenge, or I might like a new challenge. And I hope it doesn't happen, but I don't think anything will be forced upon him because we want to buy a player.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So we're going to end the podcast there. It's been an absolutely brilliant podcast, mate. Do you have any last words to say or anything?
No, just enjoy the rest of the season. Make sure to subscribe to the Kop Council. Make sure you keep coming back. I've gotten to know you over the past few months, mate, and I keep saying it, but as Liverpool fans, we are very, very fortunate in that we've got a very creative bunch that make wonderful merchandise, podcasts, videos. I mean, we're a different breed. I keep saying it, but I mean, it's such fun to come and chat with anybody about Liverpool. So thank you for inviting me on. It's been a pleasure.
It's a pleasure, mate. Anytime. So, yeah, guys, this is the end of the podcast. If you did like the podcast, then please like, share, and subscribe, and we will get more special guests on every couple of weeks or every couple of months, it seems to be, for the podcasts. But, if you do like the podcast, then please like, share, and subscribe. We are on the road to 100 subscribers right now, so please hit that subscribe button and hit the notification button as well, so you get the videos straight away. It's a pleasure, Craig, for having you on. If you don't know who Craig is, guys, he is the Anfield Agenda. His links will be in the description down below. All his Twitter, all his social medias, including YouTube, will be down in the comment section down below. So, that's been the Kop Council Podcast, and thank you guys for listening. Ta-ra.